Alright, I had promised a few students that I would go over the different methods. When you look at, after we've done all of them, it gets a little bit confusing which is which. On the quiz, I'm going to let you choose whichever method you prefer, provided if you're given a problem like this, what is 20% of 85? You can either choose to solve it by creating the fractions, the proportion, the decimals, or an equation. And I just want to highlight them here. If you need more information, I'd recommend you go back and watch the lesson specifically on that topic. To go ahead and solve it. Now, one important thing to mention is this is just a general what is 20% of 85. Word problems aren't always as easily lendable to different methods, so I would recommend that you be familiar definitely with all of them. Make sure you restudy all the word problems that we did. And then when it comes to these kind here, this is excellent toolage that you can use to go ahead and solve them from there. So the purpose of this few minute segment is just to go over the different methods and how they're all, although very similar, different ways of going ahead to solve something. So first one, by creating fractions. What is 20% of 85? Well, 20% we saw in the first lesson, 7.1, is really per 100. So 20 out of 100. Now we can reduce that to 1/5. Okay? Then we say 20% is 1/5 of is to multiply 100 or 85. Okay? And then we just have two fractions we're multiplying, and we're going to go ahead and figure out what our answer is going to be. I divide, I see I can cross cancel, 5 goes into 5 once, into 85 17 times, multiply straight across, my answer is 17. Using a proportion, we looked for two things. First, we looked for the percentage. Second, we looked for the word of, because whatever comes after of goes in the denominator. So our percentage is 20, so that's going to go over 100. And we can simplify it if we'd like, but we're not really focused on that right here, right now. Second thing is look for the word of. After the word of is 85, so that means 85 goes in our denominator, x is in the numerator. Now we have a proportion. We're ready to cross multiply. 85 times 20 is 1,700. X times 100 is 100x. I'm going to divide both sides by 100. Those cancel, x comes down, zeros are out, zeros are out. My answer again is 17. So I get the same exact answer, as we'll see with all four. Third method is by looking at percents as decimals. So 20% of 85, what is that? 20% is also the decimal 0.20. Of is to multiply, so we use of, and 85. Just multiply 0.20 times 85, we find that our answer is 17. Now the equation methods goes ahead and we can do it one of two ways. If I write it out, what is 20% of 85? We just kind of do the translation for what the words here say into math lingo. What is, or really that's saying what number is, so we don't know what number, x, is to equal 20%. We can either write as a decimal or a fraction. I'll write it as a decimal because we just did that here. Of is to multiply 85. So 0.20 times 85, multiplying straight across again, same as we found with that one. The answer is 17. We also said with the equation method, you can think of it as A equals P% of B. What percent? A is our part, B is our base, and P is the percentage, so we have 20%. Of is to multiply, 85 is our base, our entire amount. So we set it up actually very, very similarly when we're solving for a part of that base. And here again, you can choose to either turn this into a decimal, 0.20, or a fraction, which we saw here is 1/5. So we see that the methods are very similar because essentially this is the same as this problem. This method is the same as this problem, and the portion one kind of combines elements of both. You, again, will have the option of solving however you prefer, but those kind of highlight the different ways. Thinking of it as a fraction times whatever you want, putting it in the portion method, turning it into a decimal, or solving by translation is equals, of is multiply. Go ahead and solve the equation to get the variable by itself. Okay, any questions, feel free to email me or see me in the morning, and we'll go from there. Good job, guys.